Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Adam McAvoy, and I am the Communication Officer for the European Powerchair Football Association. Welcome to our presentation on enriching lives using the power of Powerchair football. We are located at CSO stall 11 over there, and if you want to tweet about us today, please use the hashtag PowerchairFootball. I'd like to start by asking anyone here today a question, please, and that would be, do you know of anyone within your close circles or your distant circles, anyone that has a form of disability? Excellent. And before today, have you heard about Powerchair football? Excellent, okay. So that's good to know, that's excellent, because just to let you know, Powerchair football is the only active team participation sport for people with severe physical disabilities. And today I'm going to be speaking to these three gentlemen here today, and they will explain how Powerchair football has enriched their lives and the lives of the people that are involved within the game. So firstly, I'm going to speak to Sam Bull. He is the association's sports department director, and Sam has been involved in Powerchair football in various roles for the past 10 years. So firstly, Sam, how did you get involved in Powerchair football?
So kind of going back through, growing up, I'd got an younger brother who played football. Obviously, I realised fairly early on that I wasn't going to be able to play the running game of football, and kind of my idea was around, I just thought I'd become a coach, get involved that way. So even at school, I used to, at lunchtime, sort of supposedly coach the players and all this sort of stuff. And when I went off to university, I actually went through, did my level 1 coaching badges and everything, and actually coached a university team for 5 years while I was at university. And that's sort of, if you like, where I thought my involvement in football would be. Now my idea, so I've always been a football fan, so kind of I wanted to get involved in it somehow. And then in 2002, I found out about Powerchair football. It was just something that was sort of starting, and I went along to a session and tried it, and kind of it went from there. And because I'd had a bit of a coaching background, I sort of got asked if I'd get involved in that side of it, and kind of it developed along from there. And sort of since I got involved, I fell in love with it. It was my version of football. I could play it, and we went away from there, and I sort of started and haven't looked back really since.
And you actually played to a high level, didn't you?
Yeah, I've been relatively lucky within England. I've played quite a high level. We played in the National League. My team actually won the National Championships in England 4 years in a row, so we were quite a successful team. And I was lucky enough as well to get involved in an England setup and the international stuff in the early days. And it was amazing. It meant I could travel. I travelled all over Europe, I went to America with an England team in the early days. So it was that opening eyes and kind of showing me that football could take me around the world to do different things. And it sort of moved on from there. Unfortunately, the game's grown, so I've sort of now stepped back a little bit, retired from the play, and it's now full of a lot of youngsters that are doing a lot of stuff. They're too quick, I can't keep up with them anymore. So sort of stepped away from it that way, and I sort of realised that there was a lot of work needed to be doing, so I wanted to give something back in terms of a sport that I love, so I got more involved in the kind of development and the running of the sport, as well as still doing a little bit of playing from time to time. It's been a while, though, since I played last.
So what is it that actually you do now, and what does your role within the European Powerchair Football Association actually entail?
Okay, so basically, in my day job, if you like, is I work for the Wheelchair Football Association in England. So we've actually got some staff that develop Powerchair football within England. And as a volunteer, I'm then involved with the European, and I'm actually the sports department director, and I oversee the kind of event schedule and what we do and kind of where we go. So we have a 4-year event cycle. So I'll just go through we've got some bits here. So our event cycle is around 2016. There will be hopefully a World Cup for Powerchair football. So that is run on a worldwide level. So we're planning on a European conference and to do some work with some developing nations. In 2007, we'll have our next Champions Cup. So that is a European club competition. So a bit like the Champions League. So we have top teams from across Europe come together to play a championship. And we basically work in a 4-year cycle. And then, so we'll do some more development. 2018, we hope to run we will be running a Nations Cup, which is an international tournament. So it's the equivalent of the the European Championships, and that is a qualification event for nations within Europe to qualify for the World Cup. And that's kind of the cycle we're in at the moment in the work that we're doing, and that's where my role oversees that lot.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Now I'm going to introduce you all to Ricky Stevenson, and Ricky himself is actually a founding member of Powerchair Football. So, Ricky, how did you first get involved in the game?
Well, my involvement really starts from I was a sports officer working for a local authority, and this guy comes up to me and says, I want to play football, but he's in a wheelchair. And I'm thinking, my background is football. I've worked within professional clubs delivering community schemes. And it was like, I'm scratching my head thinking, how on earth can I help this player fulfill a potential? So with him, it was really that player request. So I started to do a bit of research to look at, well, what happens? So my background being in football, I turned to football to say, well, what's available for this player to do? And if I'm honest, the options they came up with was, well, you can put him in goal and let everyone shoot at him. But actually, that's not what he wanted to do. That's not his engagement. He wanted to play an active role within the game. So I started to do research, if you like, greater than in England, looking across the world, and basically came in contact with a number of people that were also doing something very similar. But they were, if you like, there were different ways they delivered it. So in America, they had a game that was more like American football, but it wasn't what football we know. And, you know, England, the creators of the greatest game, we were like, well, what can we do with Powerchair football? So my, if you like, sports background enabled me to work with people to try and get them engaged and to find that opportunity for them to be involved.
And the laws of the game within Powerchair Football actually mirror the rules in the running game, don't they?
Yep, so my involvement, coming from a football background, I actually got involved in and led a group worldwide to create the laws of the game. And they are based on FIFA laws. So they do follow the same format as the running game. And we try and adapt it to make it fit, but still be as dynamic and as engaging as the running game is. So we do have no offside in our game, but we have an equally controversial law around 2-on-1 that is down to interpretation again, and we keep working at it. But hey, I think once we solve the offside law, we may have solved our law maybe a bit quicker. But it's as equally as controversial. But it's an indoor game, so it's played indoors. The court replicates a football pitch. It's 2 teams of 4, including a goalkeeper, and we have 2 20-minute halves. We use a larger ball, as you can see here. So this is a ball we've had to get designed ourselves so it doesn't get trapped under any wheelchair or anything like that. We'll pass it out so you can have a look. But what we're trying to do is, if you like, we've adapted it to enable people in wheelchairs to be able to play the game. And a little bit later, you'll be able to see some of the chairs and come and have a go. So if I said it's your Ferrari version of a wheelchair, I wouldn't be too far wrong. But we've had to work and develop the equipment also to take something that enables people to get from A to B to actually then be able to play in a sport. The other involvement that I've got linked to that around the laws is I was also involved in the creation of the International Federation, FIPFA, and my current role is the Director of Sport, so I'm responsible for ensuring the sport has a presence across the world, and also competition is played to the same format. So following our last speakers, hearing what they're talking about and major structures and events, with our own logistical problems. So last World Cup, 10 teams, and about 170 players in wheelchairs, trying to get accommodation, transport, all that sort of structure really limits the countries we can go to. And we were looking to host our World Cup next year in Brazil, but due to infrastructure, we're not able to actually take our event to Brazil because for the number of people we're targeting and that high level of impairment they've got, it's very difficult for us to be able to take a World Cup to that nation at this moment in time. But I was also, while creating the International Federation, we tried to mimic football. So we then created the European federations. And we've got federations, we've got 5 European confederations across the world. And the one we're here today is EPFA, the European Federation.
Lovely, thank you, Ricky. And now I'd like to introduce Nicolas Dubez, who is the current European Association's president. Nico, what is the role of EPFA within Powerchair football?
Yeah, like Ricky said, EPFA is a governing body of Powerchair football inside FIFA. So we are responsible for the development and the coordination of all the type of competition that we organize. We have different type of events that we can set up. Of course, we are focusing on attracting more countries, attracting more players, showing them that even if they are disabled, even if they have a strong disability, they are able to play football. We are offering them an opportunity to play football. And so it's not just, EPFA is not just about competition like Sam said. We have, of course, a cycle of competition, but actually we are more focused around the development.
So, focused around development, how many countries are there currently playing Powerchair football in Europe?
Yeah, actually we have 13 countries, members of EPFA. When we started in 2008, we had only 5. So in only 7 years, we doubled the number of countries. So that's, for us, a great achievement, because you have to understand, and like we said, that it's not implementing a sport in a new country, especially Powerchair football, is a long way to go. We need to find money, we need to find equipment, and we need to find players. So during the last years, we've worked on the development program based on different events that we can organize. I'm talking about, of course, Powerchair football clinics and presentation in different countries where the sport doesn't exist. I'm talking about official training. When I mean official, it's referees, classifiers to set up the sport in the country. Coaches and players education. So I mean, we are working on coaching courses specific if you are from grassroots beginners to more educated players. And of course, we are offering an opportunity for a new country when you want to set up the sport in your country. We are offering you what we call a starter kit. A starter kit is a set of equipment that we can send to a country. I'm talking about balls, like you can see. I'm talking about goal posts, and I'm talking about guards. When we have people that they have wheelchairs, but they can use it as Powerchair football equipment.
So the necessary basic equipment that new players in new nations need to play Powerchair football.
Yeah, when they start, they basically need a ball. They need a chair. They can use their daily chair to start, even if right now when you play as a elevated sport, you have to use a specific wheelchair. But when you start, you can play with your own wheelchair. I mean, you don't have a guard. So we can bring you what we call a development guard made with plastic. It's really cheap, easy to set up on a chair, and so you can start playing after 5 minutes when you have a chair. So we bring a kit like that in different countries, where even if we have contact with a new country, when we try to find contacts with our partner, and that's the first step of the Powerchair football development in Europe.
Okay, so for the association to be able to go into new nations, obviously it costs money. So how does EPFA fund this activity currently?
Well, actually, it's difficult. Actually, difficult because, as everybody knows, we are looking for partners, and actually, we have only one, but it's a big one. We are partners with UEFA, so around the football and all ability program. We made contact with them right before the World Cup in 2011 in Paris. We had the opportunity to invite the President Michel Platini to the pool draw of the World Cup. And right after the pool draw of the last World Cup, we made an informal discussion with him. And we made a bet, asking him if he was able, as a UEFA president, to help us. And he said, yes, I will. And 6 months after that, I received a letter from him asking us to build a development program, like we said, and we become partners with UEFA until 2017 now, around the Football and Social Responsibility Committee. So actually, UEFA is 100% of our annual budget.
And that money is used to purchase the equipment and cover the expenses for staff to go in to deliver these events in the country.
Yeah. Basically, we decided with UEFA, it was an agreement between each other to use most of the money they give us to development. Of course, we're running competition, but competition is the second step. First step is to attract people, is to attract new countries, and again, a show to young people in a wheelchair that, of course, you have a strong disability maybe, but Powerchair football is an opportunity to forget about this disability.
And speaking of these young people and these players with a disability, Ricky, you're actually a coach of a team as well. From your experiences, how have you seen Powerchair football enrich the lives of those people that are actually involved?
Well, my involvement is really all around the players, and they're not players with a disability, they're just footballers. So Powerchair football is just football, but we're in a wheelchair. There are many examples I can give, but the thing that's important is a lot of these players are mainly spectators, so they watch it on TV, they're in stadiums, they're playing on the Xbox or something like that. That's their experience of football. They don't necessarily even know they could play. Once we get engaged with some players, it really does change their life. And I'm going to talk about a player who, for me, within a club level, it's had a huge impact on his life, but also his family's life as well. So he came to us 10 years ago as a very young player, had no motivation, no confidence, was at school but weren't really performing because he was wondering, why do I do what I do? And basically, through getting him involved in Powerchair football, that became his hook to say, this is what I want to do. I want to play football. He was a big Liverpool fan, so following football was what he did. He had a season ticket, he went to the game, but he never really got to play. This was his chance to play. He travelled over 2 hours each week to come training because we were the closest opportunity to him, but his family support network supported him to do that. But in return, he had to commit to school, using it what we would do in our daily lives, think quite simple, use it as a motivation to help move forward. But he also engaged his family. So I always say that, where do our next officials come from? Most of our players come with some support. Some of them say, well, I don't know how we can help, but, his mum became our secretary. She's very organised, she got things in place. So in effect, we created a new workforce. So with my job in grassroots football locally, I see, I look after teams and see people coming in saying, how do we upskill and support? That's one of the things that we try to do, not just from players, but officials, getting the club set up and running. And one of the things that we've been able to do is form partnerships then with professional clubs, and really they're community armed. So I'm from Nottingham. I have a partnership with Nottingham Forest Football Club. One of the things that we did was during one of their match days, we did a demonstration in the car park. It was really aimed at their disabled supporters club. And a number of people came up, had a go, and said, actually, I didn't even realise I could play. And then they got the opportunity to play. So they now get to go play in our National League, they wear the Forest shirt and get to represent the club that they can. I believe football is the only sport in the world that anyone can play. But for Powerchair, because the nature of impairment as well, some of our players have shortened lives. And just this last year, the player I was telling you about actually recently passed away. But for him, his parents say that it was 10 years of his life that he may not have got if he'd not discovered Powerchair football, because it helped him not just in playing sport, but actually helped his daily life. And at his celebration event, football was the key that ran throughout all of it, because it was about celebrating his life, but actually how football had helped him do that. So for us, that's one of the things that affects a player, but actually affects their unit around them as well. And we want to try and get as many people taking part in the sport as we can across the world. We recently, internationally, we applied for Paralympic status for 2020, and we just missed out based on a number of countries. So, the development program that EPFA are talking about is one of our key objectives, because in every country there are players with high levels of severe disability that use wheelchairs, that we're trying to say you can actually play football. You don't have to sit in the stand and watch. You can now come and play.
Lovely. Thank you, Ricky. So today you've heard different experiences of how Powerchair football enriches the lives of those involved. However, don't just take that today from these three gentlemen. Here is a video to further emphasize how Powerchair football really does enrich the lives of those involved. So, Dan, you can play the video, please.
Powerchair football empowers me to pull on my shirt and play for Middlesbrough.
Powerchair football empowers me to compete at every level.
Powerchair football empowers players and their families to come together socially.
Powerchair football empowers me to play for the club I love.
Powerchair football empowers me to become a team player.
Powerchair football empowers me to play a sport which I never thought I'd be able to play.
Powerchair football empowers me to have a network of friends which I've become very close to.
Powerchair football empowers me to play competitive sport at a high level.
Powerchair football empowers people with severe disabilities to take part in a competitive sport.
Powerchair football empowers me to play on the same team as my brother.
Powerchair football empowers me to become more independent.
Powerchair football empowers me to be active and have fun with my friends.
Powerchair football empowers me to play at the same level as everyone else.
Powerchair football empowers me to play in a competitive environment.
Powerchair football empowers me to fulfill my dream of playing football.
Powerchair football empowers me to represent my favourite team.
Powerchair football empowers you to have fun.
Are there any questions from the audience about anything that you've heard about Powerchair football today? Okay. Well, shortly after our presentation, we will be in the cage for a practical demonstration. If anyone would like to come and have a go and sit in the chairs and experience just how fun and how fast they are. We're here for the duration of the event, so please feel free to come by and speak to us at any time. Thank you very much for listening, and welcome to the world of Powerchair football.